Hi, this is Carlos Cousins, and this is a writing question asking us to consider the grammatical validity of the underlined portion of a statement that's pulled from a passage. So, of course, the first thing you want to do is read the passage, but assuming you've done that already, you want to just go ahead and jump right into the statement copied below the question. So here we're told, this is caused by a teacher's want of empathy for students is not the best way of writing the sentence. One of these answer choices is better. Um, so let's go ahead and identify what you think is wrong with this. Well, this here is ambiguous. What is this describing? That's the problem with this sentence. And we know that because if you go ahead and look at the answer choices actually, you see different options. In comparison is such distorted priorities point to, such a strange conception illustrate, this occurrence reveals. And then, well, this last one's a little bit different, but it would seem that the problem that we're finding that's at issue here is what this is referring to. So let's go ahead and see what the idea before this sentence is. So at times, students forfeit real lifelong learning in order to develop test prep skills. This. So this then would be referring to the idea introduced in the previous sentence. Let's go ahead and see which of these answer choices best conveys the idea that at times students forfeit real lifelong learning in order to develop test prep skills, and in the context of this paragraph because of the approach of teaching that certain teachers take, of course. So, in comparison doesn't really make sense. We need a subject. In comparison will require a subject following it that will then take an action. And as I always say, the order is subject, verb, and then an object. And here we're starting with a verb, and this would have to then be followed by a subject or an object. So that doesn't make sense. This second option here, such distorted priorities point to. Well, this makes sense in that the teacher's priorities here aren't what they should be if they're teaching students only so they do well in exams. They should be teaching students so that they do well with educational endeavors in general, not just so that they can pass some test. So their priorities are distorted. They're not in line with what they should be. So this is why this is the best answer choice. But I'm going to show you why the others don't make sense. Such a strange conception illustrates. Well, the author doesn't really claim that this approach is strange. In fact, says it's very common. The most common of these circumstances is the teacher's preoccupation with high standardized test scores. So that would incur an assumption that the author of this article thought that this was a strange situation. This occurrence reveals. Well, the problem is this isn't really an occurrence here. This is a phenomenon. This is something that happens multiple times. It's in a once in a while thing. And then with incomprehensible efforts, they demonstrate. Well, again, it doesn't seem to be incomprehensible, and though it may be incomprehensible to her, to the author of this article, we would have to be assuming that. She doesn't seem to believe that, she doesn't seem to say anywhere that it doesn't really make any sense for teachers to do this. All that she says is that it shouldn't be the case, and provides answer choices, in fact. Pieces of evidence for why this may be the case. This is caused by a teacher's want of empathy for students, she says. Students always grow rebellious against a teacher who focuses on dull or irrelevant material. So there is an understanding, some form of comprehension. It's not completely incomprehensible to the author of this paragraph. So I hope that makes sense. Happy prepping.